Hello, ladies. Today we are talking about a topic that I know is really important for us ladies as we go into perimenopause and menopause, and that is bone health. And because we're more susceptible to osteopenia, osteoporosis, and I know many of you are in pain, you have bone pain or body pain, you're going to really want to listen to today's episode because we are providing another tool that you can use in your toolbox to help you. But before I bring in my guest, I'm going to do a quick intro to who I am. My name is Andrea Donsky. I'm a nutritionist for more than 20 years. I'm a menopause educator, published menopause researcher, and I'm the co-founder of WeAreMorphus.com, a company that empowers you to take control of your health and symptoms with nutrition, lifestyle, supplements, and research. And talking about research, I'd love you to fill out our surveys. We have 14 of them on our website currently at WeAreMorphus, MORPHUS.com. And I would love to hear your voice and help to contribute towards our perimenopause and menopause research, which is so important. Today I'm speaking with Harleen Laroia. She's the director of Osteostrong Oakville and Toronto and the founder and CEO of Simply Smart Childcare and Montessori, a thriving network of early learning centers across the GTA. At Osteostrong, she leads 2 cutting-edge wellness centers helping people, especially women over 35, build stronger bones, improve balance, reduce joint pain, and regain vitality through science-backed, non-invasive technology. With over 2 decades of entrepreneurial experience, Harleen is a strategic leader and advocate for holistic well-being. Whether she's helping a child take their first step in learning or supporting a woman in reclaiming her strength and energy, her mission is clear: to create environments that help people thrive, body, mind, and soul. Now, here's Harleen. Welcome to Menopause Reimagined, Harleen.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
I'm excited to have you too, and I'm excited to talk about bone health because as we go into perimenopause and menopause, we know many of us are more susceptible to osteoporosis, and we've talked on our podcast before about ways that we could strengthen bones. But I know that we're going to talk a little bit about something a little different today. It's not something that I've covered before, which is Osteostrong, which is a franchise that you own. So let's start with your story. I know that you're in menopause now and you've kind of just come out of perimenopause. Let's start with your story and then kind of what got you interested in opening up an Osteostrong franchise.
Yeah. Yes, my story is interesting because I have something which is called the PCOS syndrome. So I always had to be on hormones right from the get-go when I was a teenager, right after in my 20s. And I was on the infamous pill all through my life. And then I stopped 5 years ago. And then a couple of years ago, I started to feel things were changing in my body, emotions, how I felt. I do run multiple businesses, which means my life is a lot of go, go, go. And I was getting very frustrated with myself. It was almost like my body was not in my control, where I'm very high energy. I do a lot of things. I work out 4 or 5 times a week. I love doing dance, yoga, you name it. And all of a sudden, everything was lack of energy. I was starting to feel stressed very much. And the same work was stressing me out twice as much. And I didn't know what was going on. I was like, how is my stress resilience changing so rapidly? And I ended up in Emerge because one day my blood pressure was so high, my heart was beating so hard. I was like, I think I'm getting a heart attack. So I ended up in the hospital. But even before that, before the hospital, when I went to one of my doctors, the first thing he did was give me a blood pressure pill. So he said, well, you know what, and 2 things happened. One, doctor gave me SSRIs. So they wanted me to go on anxiety medication. And then the other doctors gave me blood pressure pill and said, well, that's what you need to take. And I said, well, shouldn't we dig a little deeper on like what is going on? Because it can't be so random out of the blue. And then I was told that, let's do the testing. So the cardiologist did it. I was at the hospital, stressed, everything was done. And knock on wood, but everything came out normal. So now I'm here where there is issues, there's blood pressure, there's anxiety, and there's nothing wrong with my heart. So they said, well, it's genetic, because that's the other answer. So I just went on to investigate myself. Again, collected lots of information, listened to podcasts like, yours and some other ones in there. And as I realized, I was like, well, I should find a certified menopause doctor when I realized that there are actually certified specialists. I had no idea. So I kind of tracked down NAMS, which is the menopause, where they certify doctors. I found a certified doctor close to where I live. And then I went to her and she was like, sweetheart, you need HRT. And that's where my journey began. So I took HRT, I'm on HRT, bioavailable, transdermal, whether it's progesterone, testosterone, all of that. And my life changed, but also my energy was coming back. Everything started coming back. And what got me excited about bone health was pretty much those 2 to 5 years, actually 5 years after menopause, women lose up to 20% of their bone density rapidly. So in order for me to sustain my lifestyle and what I wanted to be in terms of longevity at 70, I had to do something, because I want to be and living a health span as I get older. I want to be able to do my hikes, and I want to be able to weight lift, and I want to be able to do all of that. And I tested force loading. Axial force loading is what we do on our bones. And I tested it on myself for 6 to 8 weeks. And that's where I started on this journey after testing myself with any program.
And what did you find?
I found that once I did it for about 6 to 8 weeks, my soreness in joints went away. So, I used to feel like my ankle sore or my knee sore. And it wasn't like I have arthritis or something. There is beginning arthritis in a couple of areas in my body, but it all just went away. It was magical in 8 weeks. And then when I went back to the gym, I was actually excited to go weight lift. And my weight training went up by almost 20 to 30%. So that was the interesting finding for me personally.
So I want to get into what that is, because I think, obviously I want our listeners to understand what Osteostrong is and what you mean by that. But first, when it comes to bone health, we know that nutrition plays a role. We know that lifting weights, weightlifting plays a role. So how does Osteostrong fit into those two things and other ways that we help to improve our bone health?
I think the best way to put it is Osteostrong is the easiest way with no injury that you can transform your bone health in 12 to 18 months. And all you do is 15 minutes every week. And I think that's what startles people every time they come to us, because they almost find it too good to be true. Because you don't sweat, you come in your regular clothes, you go through the circuit, there's no jumping, there's no high impact, your heart rate is exactly where you started. And they're like, I don't know if this is making a difference. And then once time starts to pass, they realize how much of a difference it's making. So for example, we have a member who started with us in July last year, and his name is Philip. He's given us a testimonial as well, and he went through prostate cancer. He had osteoporosis even before that, and he refused to take bone density medication. That was his personal choice. And he started with us when we opened in July. He was one of our first members. And in May this year, he got his bone density results, and he went from minus 3.3 to minus 2.8. Just naturally, no medication, nothing at all, by doing our circuit once a week. And he's been coming to our Osteostrong. So he's...
So sorry, I was gonna say, can you explain what those numbers mean?
Yes. So we basically, in terms of osteoporosis, there are two scores in our DEXA scans we look at, which is our T-score and our Z-score. So T-score basically measures how you rate versus a 30-year-old bone, and Z-score measures how you rate versus your own age group. Okay. So his T-score, which is where we measure bone density, went from minus 3.3 to minus 2.8, which means it's improving. So the lower it gets, so from until minus 1.5, you're fine. Minus 1.5 to minus 2.5, you're in osteopenia. And then minus 2.5 and higher, you're in osteoporosis. So for Philip now, he's starting the reversal just naturally. So this is just one example.
And how long does it...
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, so how long does that take to normally see it go back to like that 1.5 and above?
That could take a few years because, again, well, you know, Philip is 74 years old, just to put it into perspective, right?
Okay.
So there are people, our members are anywhere between 40 to 85, and they can all do this program safely. So for Philip, for example, you know, if it's taken that many years, because after 30 is where we peak our bone density. So after 30, it's kind of going in the other way. When it's taken us so many years for our bones to get to this stage, we have to give it some time to come back to its original stage. And because you asked me this question, we have a member, Sandra, who's been doing Osteostrong since 2021 because she was doing it in the States.
Okay.
And now she's a member here with us in Oakville as well. And she actually shared all her DEXA scans with me every year. And we actually shared it on our social media. So she went from minus 3.3 to completely osteoporosis free.
Wow.
When
so
she
it
just
reverses it. Amazing.
Everything.
And you're saying that's once a week and she's doing the program. So explain what the program is.
So we have 4 growth triggers, 4 machines, really. They look like gym machines, but they're nothing like a gym machine.
Okay.
What they do is they enable someone to sit in their most powerful position to exert maximum force. Like we say, based on Wolff's Law from the 1800s, you need 4.2 times your body weight to trigger osteogenesis. And that's where your osteoclasts and blasts are working most powerfully to generate bone. Because you got to clean out the garbage and you got to bring in new. So by doing this, what you do is you are able to exert that kind of force because you're not jumping, you're not trying to take a weight and power lift where you can injure yourself. You're sitting in a very comfortable position and you do it with the coach where you put that kind of force on a weekly basis. So it's got to deal with your upper growth, which is your upper kinetic chain, because, you know, when we fall, we brace ourselves, right? And a lot of people break their wrists and stuff when they fall. So we work on your upper kinetic chain, we work on your hip and lower body, we work on your spine, and then we work on your rib cage, so your inner core muscles as well. So there are 4 machines you go on, but you also do the vibe plate. So the vibe plate is very good in terms of getting your body ready for the bone force that you're going to do.
And how long is each session?
It's about 15 minutes because you're only putting 10 seconds of full force.
Oh, that's what you're saying.
But really the coach talks to you. It goes by fast, but the coach talks to you from machine to machine. You check your progress. You go that way, you know, so it takes about 15 minutes. But then most people who come, they end up spending an hour at our center because they like to do some of the other things we offer. But this is our core kind of benefit, which is bone density and bone health.
So how new is Osteostrong? Has it been around? Like, I know you said since 2021, Sandra was doing it, but how long has the company been around itself?
It's been around since 2012. So 2012, yeah. Okay. So it's been there. We've done, Osteostrong in total has done over 11 million sessions worldwide. I don't know if it's changed this year now because it grows every year. Okay. And there are locations in the US, Australia, Sweden, Iceland. We opened in Chile, Peru. So lots of places, yeah, and Canada now, yes.
Wow. So for wherever you're listening to this podcast, you can find an Osteostrong near you. And like you said, you own, is it 2 locations or 1 location?
Yes, 2 in Canada. One is in Oakville and the other one is in Toronto.
Amazing. So if you're in Canada, then you can visit Harleen at her locations. And if not, if you're at other locations around the world that you can try as well, which is great. So would somebody want to check it out if they're in osteopenia or have osteoporosis, or can you use it for prevention as well?
For prevention as well. So I don't have any osteopenia or porosis. My only thing was when I was working out, I wanted to improve and feel better and not feel the hurt every time. And my recovery was like long. It just didn't feel good. to do a deadlift the way it used to when I used to be 40. So I started doing this to feel better. So it really, I tell people, because our peak bone density is 30, and then we are declining. If we incorporated this into our lifestyle, we would never degenerate.
That's amazing. And then, so how does it work in terms of cost? So do you buy like package of certain sessions? Can you obviously going once isn't going
It's a membership. Yeah,
So
it's a membership. Because, if people, because especially people who come to us who are in already osteoporosis, we try to get them, because they need at least 12 to 18 months, right? Like I mentioned with Philip and like I mentioned with Sandra, at least to even start the reversal process, because that's the first step. We want to start the reversal. So 12 months, I would say, is minimum for them to see a change in their DEXA scan, because we want to see scientific numbers to make sure that it's actually making a difference in their body. So for that, it's about 12 months, and that's how we kind of sell our membership plans.
Are there other ways to measure bone density other than a DEXA scan?
Absolutely. There's REMS as well, which is our new ultrasound technology, and it gives you like your fragility score as well for 5 years. Both of them are pretty phenomenal. I just say that because REMS is not covered under OHIP, it's an extra cost to people, while DEXA is. So it's up to people to do either or. There is more accuracy with REMS, we feel, because with the DEXA, different machines are calibrated differently. You have to go back to the same clinic to do a repeat test. Also, if they don't calibrate it properly, sometimes the results can come out a little weird, where your standard deviation is off quite a bit. So we've now looked at a lot of DEXAs in 1 year, because we opened in July last year, and we've looked at a lot of REMS. So it's up to members what to do, but the gold standard that health follows, the health department, is DEXA.
Do you offer REMS at your clinic?
We do. We try to partner with different REMS providers, because there's a lot of people now that are providing that service in terms of REMS scans. So we partner with different ones, and they come in and do it at our center.
So for clarity, DEXA scans are X-rays, and then REMS is an ultrasound.
Correct. So DEXA, again, I forget the abbreviation always, is dual energy X-ray absorptiometry. I don't know how to say this, so you can correct me. But REMS is radio frequency echographic multispectrometry.
Okay.
So that's the detailed scientific word. It is, yes, radiation in a DEXA, which you don't have in REMS, which is great. And it's newer, and it gives you your FRAX score. The only thing is it's not currently recognized for official diagnosis in most clinical settings.
Probably just doctors caught up because it's newer, right?
Yeah. So doctors really want everyone to do a DEXA, and that's what they base their medications on.
Right. Okay. So interesting. So you yourself weren't in osteopenia or didn't have osteoporosis, but you found it really helped with pain, which a lot of people have, a lot of joint pain and just body pain and bone pain. I hear that a lot from the women in our community saying they just have bone pain. So that's something that can help with that, which I really like to hear. Once a week, 15 minutes. Osteostrongs are all over really the world. You're based here in Canada, and it's a membership fee, and then you can also help them. So I guess the DEXA scan would be once a year to see the progress, but if you wanted to do an ultrasound, you actually do have that technology that you can help people. Let's say they want to test after 6 months or after 3 months, like you can do that.
Yeah. I just want people to know that winning in bones, because really when you go to a doctor, they'll tell you, here's your medication, you have osteoporosis, we cannot change that. Now, basically, we just want to keep it as is. And that's why, a lot of people take medications and they want to stay as is. I just want them to know that there is a way out. There is a way to reverse it. There is a solution. And it is, obviously, there are pillars to bones. And we always say this, osteogenesis is one of the pillars, but then there's hormones, there's nutrition, there is movement in general. All of those work together to create and improve our bone density. So I just want the listeners to be aware that it's a stacking approach. They all have to work together.
Yeah, which makes sense too. And you could do, and doing everything together, right? You could still lift weights. You could, like, exactly. You could still go to your clinic. You could still do everything. That's great. No, and I'm a big fan of understanding what technology is out there for us to be able to try, because a lot of the time, someone might get a diagnosis of osteopenia or osteoporosis, and they might feel, they would feel overwhelmed, right? In terms of like, oh, wow, this is something that's, they're just hearing about it. So now I wanted to be able to do this so we can provide solutions over and above what they might be getting. So they're going to hear it from their doctor, and they might go on and do their own research, but this is something else. It's another tool that we could
Yes.
use to help us in terms of, it's like, again, the tools in our toolbox, right? That can
Yes,
help us
absolutely.
figure things out. And then I'm obviously, I would think with your experience and your staff's experience, and probably at all the other Osteostrong clinics too, when what's the experience like? Do people get other advice? Like, are they shared? Like, is nutrition shared with them, or perhaps some supplements? Like, does it come with other things as well, even if they wanted to purchase it as a package?
It does. The only thing, I mean, we always give guidance on nutrition. We always give them guidance on supplements. After the first 3 or 4 weeks, we let them first settle down with the circuit and how they're feeling, and then we'll set up time to talk about nutrition as well as supplements and how they can stack for them, because a lot of times our diets do not give us everything our body needs, and there are some key supplements for bones that they can actually help reverse a lot of things along with the exercise or the circuit that they would be doing with us.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I mean, I don't know if these are some of the ones that you recommend, but I'm a big fan of magnesium, very important. I'm a big fan of vitamin D with vitamin K. So there are certain things that we know that can be beneficial for us. So I
Oh, for
think
sure.
that's, yeah, I think that's great. Harleen, is there anything else you want to mention around nutrition and, when it comes to bone health?
Absolutely. So one of the key components of nutrition that we try to touch on always is anti-inflammatory diets, right? So and protein. So protein
Yeah.
is one of those things. As we age, a lot of people come and they tell me they're taking enough protein, and when I ask, okay, tell me what you eat in a day, and we figure out that they're having maybe 40 grams of protein in the entire day,
Right.
and they weigh 130 pounds.
Right.
So then the conversation of protein starts, and the World International Osteoporosis Foundation, which I get to attend a lot of their webinars because of Osteostrong, and their recommended daily dosage is 0.75 of your body weight. So in terms of that, they need to be taking a much larger dose. And we all know that as we age, our metabolism slows down. So I was sitting with this lady, she's 76 years old, and she's a sweetheart. And we were talking, and she goes, I don't know what to do, because I'm having a couple of eggs, but then I'm having my lunch. I just don't know how to get in like about at least 90 to 100 grams of protein.
Yeah.
So, I recommended maybe have a little protein shake, or add something, or a Greek yogurt, something that will give you that additional bump in the day, and it's usually that deficit of 30 to 40 grams that they're seeing, because they're not adding enough meals in the day. And with the 2 meals, they're struggling with the protein. And we know that for our bones and muscles as we age, it's critical
Very important
to
that we
avoid
get enough protein.
to get enough protein and enough fiber as well. So that's the other piece that we lack. So I always ask them to download any app available to track it.
Well, it's really important that you understand how much. I mean, we actually, in our book that comes out in May of 2026 on perimenopause and menopause, we actually said that if you weigh 140 pounds or less, you want to aim for 20 to 25 grams of protein per meal. And then if you're 140 plus, you want to aim for 25 to 30 per meal. And then you want to add in based on how active you are, how, are you exercising, how tall are you? And there's like a whole bunch of things to take into consideration. But I agree with you, anywhere, if you can get it up to that, 75 more to 100 grams a day of protein, like that's where we want to be. And it's super important. because, or even that 90 to 100, like you're saying, it's super important because protein, not only for our bones, but protein's important for managing blood sugar. It's important for waking up our brain. It's important for muscles. It's important for so many different things.
Yeah, and for minerals, for bone density and things like that as well, I always say there are some easier ways. So even when I was attending the ASMBR, which is the bone density conference in September last year, one of the key components they mentioned, there was research on this as well, that if you took 5 to 6 prunes per day, believe it or not, prunes have a lot of the essential minerals you need for your bones, which was very fascinating for me. I'm like, because I've heard of it for fiber, but never for bones. And it's an easy way for people to buy a bunch of prunes and try to eat just the dried prunes, 5 to 6 a day to get their minerals in, or Celtic salt for that matter. So I try to give everybody like easy options as well, where they can wake up in the morning, take some either desert salt or Celtic salt. That'll give them a lot of those minerals and vitamins that their bodies need for helping nutrition.
Multi-minerals are super important, like 100%. And we actually work with a company called Beam, and they have a mineral supplement that I'll put a link to it below as well. Absolutely amazing. And I truly believe, and I love that you're bringing up minerals. But of course, if you want to eat through your food or the salt, you got the Himalayan salt that has over 84 different minerals. But if you're looking for a mineral supplement, Beam is amazing for that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they've got a great product, and they ship pretty much worldwide. So it's pretty, I know they shipped to Australia. I know they shipped to Canada and the US, but I'm pretty sure they ship pretty much anywhere. So that's awesome. Yeah, minerals are so important. And also we don't get enough minerals in our food anymore, right? So like we don't, and I agree with you what you said before, like first of all, as a nutritionist, nutrition always first, but I do believe we need certain supplements to kind of bring in when we're lacking in certain areas. So 100%, I agree with you on that respect.
Yeah, well, and one of the things I wanted to touch on, and it's kind of nutrition, but we talked about protein and kind of even blood sugar regulation. Based on research, our system, because it helps your bones get dense on the inside, which means you've got your cortical bone and your trabecular bone. So the trabecular, which is the inside of your bone in layman's terms, it makes it get thicker and thicker to help it get stronger. And when it does that, it actually brings down and helps your HbA1c. Amazing. So if we know what HbA1c is for the listeners, it's the floating blood sugar for 3 months in our bloodstream. And most of the people in our Greek study, as well as our Swedish study that is in the pre-format right now, which is going through pre-peer review before publishing. In both those studies, actually HbA1c was a big indicator where it improved. That's amazing. So I can definitely send you a link on that Greek study as well.
Yeah, that would be great because we're more prone to issues with blood sugar as we go into perimenopause and menopause too. So anything that can help is super critical and super important. So what are some other things that you offer at the clinic?
We offer some wellness therapies that really help overall vitality and longevity. So for example, red light therapy, pulsed electromagnetic frequency, lymphatic drainage, biocharger. We have some cool technologies that work with us on a cellular level, and they penetrate us on a cellular level and help our cells recharge. So reduce inflammation, reduce stress, create more blood circulation. So even the supplements that we eat and things we eat and food we eat, when our circulation improves, it kind of flows everywhere in our body and our body absorbs them better. So what we do is when people come in, they have the option to choose wellness therapies as well as part of their package. And then they can pretty much do a hydromassage or pulsed electromagnetic frequency recharge or red light therapy before they close their session. And biocharger is one of the amazing things that's included in all our memberships, and it is a combination of 70,000 volts of electricity, spectrum light, which mimics sunlight, PMF, which is the pulsed electromagnetic frequency, and frequencies and harmonics. So it's been built where we turn on different recipes, whether it's immunity, whether it's digestion, whether it's bone strength, and members sit there, and it's almost like a biocharger campfire, and they can sit there and actually do a charge and get the benefits of this technology. So a lot of people start to get better sleep after they come to us. That's why a lot of inflammation and pain goes down. So overall for women, because these are the complaints we hear all the time from members before they start with us, is pain. They feel pain.
Yeah.
And we ask them, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, and all of these contribute to helping to reduce that pain.
Totally. Like it goes away. I have a member who had swelling on her ankles all the time. And, she's actually given us a testimonial as well. She was one of our initial members. She has been coming, and literally after 8 weeks or 6 weeks, her husband was like, she goes, I'm going for a walk. And he looks at my ankles and he goes, oh my God, like there's nothing there. And she felt so much stronger to do all of that. I've had one person who used to be a runner and couldn't run. And she came, and literally after 8 weeks, she went for a walk, and she goes, I was like, you know what, let me try to jog and see if I can do that. And then she goes, I was like, let me try to run and see if I can do that. And she was able to do that with no pain.
That's amazing. So Harleen, how can people find out more about you and your clinic?
Just at osteostrong.ca. So if they find us online, again, I'll repeat, osteostrong.ca. And they'll find our locations there. They can book a call there. We do have virtual calls before people come into the center, because we want to know their assessment, what is it they're looking for, if this is what will serve their needs, because they might be confused. So we make sure that people that are coming in truly need Osteostrong. It is appointment based. So we have to make sure that the appointments are booked. Our initial session is long because there's a detailed health assessment, because a lot of these technologies, we want to make sure there are no contraindications, right? So we review everything with our members for those contraindications before they jump on any machine.
That's great. And I know that you have a special discount for our listeners so your locations are in Canada, they're in Toronto and in Oakville, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So, you're giving 10% off your entire membership, which is great. You said it's a $240 value, which is terrific.
Yes.
I love it.
For the year.
And for the year. And then if people are in the US or other parts of the world, what is the other website? Is it osteostrong.com?
It's osteostrong.me.
.me. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So if they go there, they'll find all the locations there as well.
Osteostrong.me. Perfect. Thank you so much for doing this today, Harleen.
Thank you, Andrea.
If you enjoyed my interview with Harleen as much as I did, please take a moment to share it, because the more you share shows you care. And please take a moment to rate and review our podcast, and also share it with anyone you know who has body pain, bone pain, joint pain, as well as osteopenia or osteoporosis. Thank you for spending the last little bit with me. I know there's a lot you could be doing, but instead you chose to spend your time with me, and for that I am grateful. I'll see you at the next interview.